Hi, Katharine.
Hey, Michelle.
How are you tonight? Tonight, I guess.
Yeah,
Tonight, where you're from.
pretty good. Yeah,
Um,
the time difference always throws me because 3 hours kind of makes a difference in the day.
yeah, it totally does. It totally does. Yeah. One in the afternoon is way different than four in the afternoon. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
just like 8:30 versus 5:30.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're ready. Catherine's ready to go to sleep. And I'll make sure that I don't put you to sleep. But so I'm here. I'm here with Katharine MacPhail. Katharine believes that architects are for everyone and is on a mission to relieve as much of the stress from home renovations as possible for homeowners through sharing information and tips from experts and those who have gone before on her podcast, Talking Home Renovations with the House Maven. She received her master's in architecture in 1996 in Los Angeles at Southern California Institute of Architects and is now a registered architect in Massachusetts, where she grew up. She homeschooled her three kids over a total 13 years and along the way picked up a passion for Scottish fiddle playing. Now she plays with the Boston Scottish Fiddle Orchestra, is secretary of the Boston Scottish Fiddle Club, and manages the fiddle band Scottish Fish, which is her daughter's band. And
Yeah,
I didn't know that you were with the Boston Scottish Fiddle Orchestra.
I am with them. Yes, actually, I started it, and the secret is if you start a band or an orchestra, you're automatically in it. So
I should
that's
have.
that's the way that happened.
I should have.
Yeah.
That's what I should do with the flute, because then I
Oh,
would never have to practice, but I would always just be there, just
right. Exactly. Just start your own
pretending
band.
to play. I would just be pretending to play.
Right.
So Katharine is also the co-host of the Entre Architect Context and Clarity Live, which is on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Eastern. Eastern. Sorry, Michelle. It's Eastern Standard Time. We're on at
Oh,
4.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. But you're, yeah, exactly at 4 Eastern Time, and I'm watching it at 1. So that's why
Yeah.
we're confused again with the time shift. So
Yeah.
anyway, so we were on the Ecclestock Planning Committee together, which was 3 days of context, music, and clarity. And we can talk a little bit about that. We were, I basically call it summer camp for architects.
Hmm.
And so we're kind of back from that. And this blog that I'm going to be posting is all about our time away in the hills of Vermont, the mountains, I suppose, of Vermont.
Yeah.
So what would you like to say about that, Katharine?
About Eccleston?
Yes.
Well, for one thing, I think it was a really interesting. It was like I don't know. I hate saying something is a unique experience because it could happen again, but it was a situation where I got to meet all these people that I felt like I had gotten to know, but had never actually met in person. So that was a very weird thing. Like I had never met you in person, and
Mm-hmm.
yet somehow because I have seen you. I don't know. It was just so weird to. It was just a very weird situation,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
this whole
yeah.
year and a half
I
we've
would
just
kind of
been.
liken it to when, you know, like slightly less so, because right, we've actually seen each other, but when we met everybody that we had blogged with for hashtag Architalks, right? So it's like Jeff Eccles was one of the people who, he runs the Entre Architect Context and Clarity, which happens every day at
Yeah.
4 Eastern Standard Time. But I had never met him before, and we met in Orlando, and the hashtag Architects people, they'd been meeting at the AIA conference for a while, but so you're meeting with people that you've never seen, right? Because everybody was just looking at the, reading everybody's blog. And then what I was kind of, what I thought was funny is that people's blogs and who they are, it's so similar. You would think that some people, it's like, no, they're probably different than their blog. They don't really, but pretty much we are all our blog personalities in real life. And so
Yeah.
I guess I guess that was also kind of with context and clarity, when we're all making comments on the context and clarity sessions, and Jeff is responding. And I think that, when we met in person, it was like, oh yeah, we are pretty much our comment personalities.
Yeah. So that's why it was we were all so familiar to each other. But yeah, it's just part of this whole time, I suppose. And I didn't know, I don't know if I told you the story, but things like, I work with Jeff every week and we talk about, we meet, so we spend several hours a week together.
Yeah.
Over the show, right?
Yeah.
But I'd never met him in
on
person.
Zoom, like seeing each other too. Yeah.
Yeah, on Zoom, seeing each other. So then when I didn't know if I should hug him when I saw him in person, because there's also this pandemic. So it was, I don't know if I told you this when we were up there, but it's just funny because I didn't know what to do. And I had brought it up on the clubhouse in the morning, like, are people going to hug each other this weekend? And so I got there and I decided, okay, I'm not going to hug anybody. So then I pulled up and I guess I was so cold that when I got out of the car and I was trying to open the back, this other lady came up to me and asked me if I was an Uber driver. And that's like how not effusive I was when I met Jeff. So no, not an Uber driver, but I might have dialed it back too much.
You offer to give her a ride anywhere?
No, I didn't because I would have
for $50. I'll give you a ride.
Well, that's true. I should have thought of that
along the way or something.
Some gas money. No, but I hugged him goodbye when we left. So, that's the end of the story. But, I was so worried about it that I was like so distant and non-friendly that the other lady thought I was a driver. So well.
But you know what? I don't think that people pulling up at the airport are, I don't think that that's typical, your typical personality, because I know when my daughter comes and picks me up, I mean, I'm like, okay, I just want to hurry up and get into the car and leave, right? Because typically, the security person is there, like, get out of the way. So it's like, I don't really spend a lot of time, I might hug somebody, before I throw their luggage into the car or something. But, it is it's like much fast. And typically I'm running late too. So it's like, it's like I'm there, right? The person is like, okay, I'm supposed to be somewhere in 20 minutes and you said you were going to drive me there, and now I'm already going to be late. And I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe you should have taken a lift. So instead of saying, and maybe I shouldn't offer to pick up people at the airport anymore either.
Yeah, I avoid offering these days, but anyway, I did pick him up. But it was a fun weekend, and I think that we could have each of the discussions were about a half an hour, and I feel like they could have been an hour to an hour and a half each. And so I think if I don't know if we'll be on the planning committee for the next one, but if we are, I don't know what the answer is, but maybe having a little more open-ended time to talk about things, because it was we had plenty to say to each other, so that was great. It was like we were just a bunch of old friends getting together to talk about things that mattered to us.
Yes. Yeah. And we were talking about certain topics and kind of like the big idea that, these big ideas and kind of nurturing people's ideas. And then also, maybe how that they could put it into, real time, use, so, I mean, what were some of the sustainability,
right. What can we architects do about climate change to try to help with that? How do we say no to clients without never having a client again?
Yeah.
Sort of thing, when we're really busy. Like, how do we delegate things? So some things that were really practical, and, talking about some of the pain that we're feeling as practitioners, or just bigger issue subjects,
Yeah. What, how can we encourage people to use architects for maybe projects that they didn't think that they should be using an architect for?
Exactly.
Smaller projects, or projects that maybe have a limited scope of work, or projects that are, like I was talking about, like projects in my neighborhood. If I have, if I've worked on several projects in my neighborhood, how can I go about like giving other neighbors, kind of like a set fee or something to do one that's similar to one that I've done before. If it's in a tract where everything is, where there's only like several floor plans and elevations and things like that. So, yeah.
And we talked about Artemis, which is the Architects and
Yes.
Designers Mutual Aid Society that we're getting off the ground, but that's a organization where architects can help each other in times of crisis, basically, in various ways. So, yeah, I don't know. It was just nice to come together as a community like that and just feel like people do care.
Yeah.
Like we do. I think we
Yeah.
care about each other and want to help each other. So,
Yeah. And, it's like from Ann Sussman, she said, oh my gosh, this is like the first time that I've been with other architects where they've actually been encouraging of other ideas, and they haven't been, totally critical and said like, oh no, I don't, it's like, that's a horrible idea, or, nobody's ever going to hire you because you've been doing your own custom residential work for so long that you're unemployable, or, things like that. Yeah. So,
you didn't say that. Nobody said that one time all weekend.
No, nobody said that. Nobody said that one time. No, nobody said that. Somebody said that to me 2 nights ago. But anyway, they're not going to be listening to this podcast anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, I think more about Artemis. So how, kind of if someone has a crisis, maybe a health crisis, and how can people in the architecture community come together for them, either supporting them financially with, with purchasing different items and donating to the cause, or, doing work for the person if the person needs work, or what were some of the other ideas for that, Kath?
Yeah, so basically there's the idea that we'll be raising money, so we'll have it in a fund that will be available. I think we haven't really worked out the details yet, but I think the way generally it's going to work is that a member will be donating money regularly, whatever that may be, even if it's only $5 a month or whatever. There's no money minimum that you have to donate to be a part of it. But the idea would be that you already have your paperwork in case something does happen to you, then it could be processed like right away. So that would be the advantage of being a member. So there's the financial stuff, the financial angle, but then also other architects who might live nearby who might be able to help pick up some of the work that you might have to do, or just take over your projects for you, whatever it may be. It's just the idea of we're not alone, right? So I think a lot of us who work alone in offices feel like, what would happen if all of a sudden, how would they even find my projects? What if I got hit by a bus? Then what would happen? And, so it's just a little bit of peace of mind that way. And just, just knowing that we have each other's backs, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had kind of given an example of when my ex-husband had a stroke, it's like I had projects going on, and one of my friends said, what can I do to help you? And she was an architect. And I said, I need these door and window schedules done. Like, can you please do them for like these 2 projects? And really, it's what I realized is like, you know what? I mean, she did them for me, and it wasn't exactly in the same format as what I had done, but it was totally fine. It was totally fine. It got the work done, and it was a big help to me. And, she didn't charge me for it, or, and it was a real, big help. So
yeah. Stuff like that. Organized way ahead of time.
Yes, exactly. Well, there was an Artemis this last time. I mean, I did get help from people that were friends, and then, our church and family and things like that. But, yeah. So moving on to the big questions of, and then we're going to have an Equistock next year also.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
yeah,
I think everybody wants to do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and I think it was good because, we're coming out of the pandemic, and, none of these conferences are in person, and this was kind of good because there were, 20 people?
I think there were 18 of us, which was actually half men and half women. So that was nice.
Yes. And then the planning committee was half men and half women. And I just said, well, that's pretty interesting that if you have half men and half women on the planning committee, and then the people that are showing up are half men and half women, and that might have a lot to do with us encouraging diversity in the profession, as far as, Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
okay. Yeah. And so it's what next year? It's going to be next year. We're thinking what around, I mean, in Chicago, is that's one of the ideas out there? Or,
I don't know. It may end up being just right before
yeah.
the convention for a
Hmm.
few days, and then some of us could go to the convention, and others could just go home if they're not
Yeah.
AIA members.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know yet. It would make sense to do that, but there are people who want to not have it feel like a convention or be like a big convention hotel experience. So,
Yes. Yeah.
it's since we just got home a week
Yeah.
ago, I feel like we have at least 40 weeks to figure out what we're doing. Or maybe 30, 20 at least. So I don't know. I don't know, but I hope we do it again. And I think I don't know. I think I think we probably will just because I feel like we're a group of friends now. So
Yeah.
we'll work on getting together.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was good. I was glad to see that it was, I mean, it was a good group of people. It was a good size for the first, for the first one. I mean, I learned about different practices that people have, different ways they do things, and just and you know, people that play instruments. So
Yeah, that's
Katherine
right.
did not bring her fiddle. Now, with all
Mm.
this experience, because she's playing this whole fiddle experience, now I really feel like we should have made her play. I don't
I
know.
had it with me. I actually had
You
it with
did?
me. I did. I played it in
Why
my
did
room a little.
you? Why did
Well,
you
for one
play
thing, I had to
it?
go to bed at about, I had to go to bed before anything started. So
Yeah.
I was not even awake for the festivities. But yeah, I should probably just tell the listeners that context and clarity is this thing like a Facebook Live sort of thing that kind of came up in April of 2020 that Jeff was trying to connect with people who might be feeling freaked out and alone. April 2020 was right when most of us, our practices were just skidding to a halt at that point. Like, what's going to happen? The market was crashing and everything. So a lot of people were getting laid off, I guess, and so starting new firms. So it was those of us who have been practicing for many years, like 25 plus years,
Yeah.
and all people of all different levels of experience would help each other with questions and things. So a lot of people who were trying to figure out how to start their own firm. That was kind of how it started. And then in January of this year, we started doing a live version where I joined Jeff, and then we have a guest. So it's supposed to be for the small firm architect, you know, business
Yeah.
owner type thing.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the guests that have been on have been amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
these are people that are, that have podcasts. I mean, Katherine has a podcast also,
Well, I know.
but
So it doesn't take much.
no, but I mean, who were
No.
some of the people? Who were some of the people that?
Well, okay. So the biggest names that stick out to me because I was just kind of in awe watching the. Well, anyway, Seth Godin was one of the guys that we had on
Yes,
early on.
yeah,
It's like maybe our third guest.
yeah,
Also, Roxanne Gay came on
yes.
as
Oh
a.
my gosh, yeah,
That was like she was a substitute for Debbie Millman because she was sick.
yes,
And
yeah,
I found out at 1 or something like that Roxanne Gay was going to be there at 4, and I thought, what am I? How? Yeah, this is like a total missed opportunity because I'm a fan of hers and read her books. And so anyway, sorry about the motorcycle.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, so that was, but the funny thing was, or not funny, depending on who you ask, but she ended up talking about that she and Debbie are designing a house in California. Remember? Were
Yes,
you
in
there for that
LA.
one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was
Also,
there.
also, I
Yeah.
should say that meanwhile, everybody's commenting, as we do every day with Jeff, and he reads the comments. So also on the live, people are commenting so they can ask questions and things. It's pretty interactive. And anyway, so she was talking about what she was going to be looking for in an architect. And honestly,
Yes.
I was pretty shocked that she didn't care if she could be friends with this person or not. Like, to me, I felt like, well, that's the only thing I have going for me is that probably we could be friends, whoever it is. Well, not everybody, but yeah, she didn't care. And it turns out that I think she was an architecture student. Like she studied architecture back in the
Oh,
day.
she did. She
Yeah.
did. I don't remember
That kind
this.
of came out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we also have had a lot of kind of marketing specialists and what else? Stuff like
Who's
that.
the woman from Australia, the copywriter?
Oh yeah, Nikita.
Nikita.
No, was she Nikita Morel? Is that who that
Yeah, I
is?
think, yeah,
Yeah, she was
yeah,
pretty great.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these I come away from usually I come away from these things really, really inspired.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're
yeah,
just, I mean, it's just been great. It's been great. And I mean, I kind of call it like architherapy, but it's really so much more. So,
yeah, no, it's fun. It's been a way to build these relationships that have been good to have at this time.
yeah. Okay. And then you can join the Entre Architect group, and then, but through that, if you're an architect, and then if through that you are able to join the Facebook context and clarity session, correct?
Yep. Right, right, yep. The daily sessions, you have to be a member of Entree Architect to go. But the Thursday afternoons where, as you said, anybody can go. And it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and, well, I guess Entree Architect. So that's
Yeah.
it right
Yeah.
now. But yeah.
Okay. So, what are your first? Oh my gosh!
Oh no, now I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous. These are the big
No,
questions.
no, no. What are your first? I couldn't read my own writing as I like scrawled it, even though I've asked this. But I've like I took a break from like the interviews for 3 months, right? I did one in May for Mother's Day, and then I didn't do one June, July, and then this one. Well, this one will be in August. So I took a 2 month break, but it seems like so much more because I had wanted to do another one before this, but I didn't. So anyway, so what are your recollections of what are your first recollections of experiencing architecture?
What are my first recollections of experiencing architecture? That's a really hard question, Michelle, because what is architecture?
Yes. Whatever you're answering the question, and this is
We're talking about like
it's all about you. It's all
all
about
about
you.
me. Oh, I
Yeah.
love things that are all about me.
Yeah.
Okay, so like just buildings or like a great piece of architecture. I mean, I remember being a kid and being really I just loved old houses when I was a kid, and I was pretty sure there were ghosts in all the old houses. So I was always trying to find evidence of that. And I used to like to count the windows on the inside. You think I would only have to do this once, but I did it many times. Count the windows from the inside and then from the outside to try to see if there was a secret room where someone was living in the house, that sort of thing. So I guess I wasn't really that great in imagining the plan and being able to see from the exterior that there was no potential extra room. But so
you're already doing flybys. That's why, right?
right. That was
you're already doing
the 70s drone version of
yeah.
that. So I mean, I just really loved houses. Were always my favorite type of thing, and yeah, I guess so. When's the earliest recollection? I don't know.
Like 6?
Really little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 or 5. I don't know. I don't even remember what I remembered from back then. Very, very, very little. But I did want to be an architect. Or I thought it'd be. I didn't know I wanted to be an architect, but I did like to kind of do my version of urban planning and designing, houses because I like them and where all the different people who lived in the town, who worked at the post office or wherever where they would live.
Yeah.
So I like to do that, but yeah, then when I was in 6th grade, we had this like design your own house assignment, and I did it wrong according to my teacher, Mr. B. And so he told me that all houses have hallways, and therefore my house was wrong. And you know what? Actually, I wish I could find Mr. B. I don't think he was that much older than. I mean, 6th grade, he must have been at least 15 years older than I'd like to find him sometime and say, you know what? Actually, not all houses have it's not like it has to have a hallway to be. And the house I lived in when I was a kid had been a tavern originally and had been added on to, so there was never any.
Oh, yeah.
It was just more rooms that were attached to more rooms, and so that's the way I lived. So that's the way I designed, I guess, back then. Just an accretion of rooms. But anyway, so I was kind of easily discouraged at the time, and plus since I was a girl, I still am female.
Yeah.
I was not exactly encouraged to become something like an architect, back in the
Mhm.
70s wasn't really
Mhm. Yeah.
one of those job opportunities. Like, girls didn't go around saying they wanted to be architects most of the time that I
Yeah.
knew. Not the girls I knew anyway. Yeah, so it's a very long, rambly answer to.
No, no, no. It's really good. Um, what I, I would teach, I was the art docent for my kids in the classroom, and then they would always, I would also teach them architecture, right? So it's like one day a month I would go in and do it, and most of the time I would tell the teacher, like, you can leave the classroom right now. And basically it was because they would go around and do stuff like that. So it's like,
Yeah.
and I was totally against that. So I would tell them that they could leave the classroom, or the next best thing to do in that situation is actually tell them that they can do the project themselves.
Yes,
And that
exactly.
keeps
That's
them,
perfect.
yes, that keeps them at the desk, and then they don't walk around doing that, because that is a bit, because I think that they're so, it's kind of the newer teachers, not the older ones, like that were educated in the 60s, where it's kind of like the whole learning and creative learning that they were taught, where that was a totally different thing, you know so they were they would kind of encourage you, with the whole creative learning and whole learning concept, where a lot of the teachers now, it's more of, it's like, okay, there's a right and wrong answer, and then the thing is that the kids a lot of the times would say to me, like, oh, well, is this right, and I'm like, this is just, I mean, everything is right in here. Like, there isn't anything that isn't right. I mean, this is just, this is a time where you can do whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can
Finish
just do
them.
whatever you want to do with it, and
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the deal. That's the deal with that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. They have those teachers, just one thing they can say to somebody. Just do the rules of life.
Well, our art teacher was like, dating one of the 18-year-old high school students. So I didn't, yeah. So I went to Saturday classes to learn, to be taught by actual artists and stuff at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, because after ninth grade, or yeah, was he in ninth grade or 10th grade? And then I went half a day to technical school, and then I would do art school on Saturday mornings with like real artists, not high school art teachers. But anyways, but um, okay. So, what are three classic buildings that you like, and why?
Okay, so I did a little prep work for the answer to this question.
Okay,
I
good.
was thinking about it because, honestly, the kind of well, okay, this is an actual building, the Pantheon. I really
Uh-huh.
love the Pantheon.
Yes.
But I've always been into antiquities too, and I worked one summer in at Hadrian's Villa in Tivoli.
Oh, yeah. So you were in that. You were in that program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't know,
the
I just loved
SciArt
it.
program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was, and it was just really great because I have this thing about history and just imagining how people lived, and I guess that's why I like old houses as well, because people's lives were so different, and obviously in ancient times, but even 100 years ago or 200 years ago.
Hmm.
So that's one of the things that draws me to these older buildings. So anyway, I love the Pantheon just because of it's just an amazing space to stand in. It was very
Hmm.
breathtaking for me, but also just I love barns.
Hmm.
I love kind of more vernacular buildings that kind of tell a history of that kind of tell their history through their form,
Hmm.
like being um as I was saying, kind of added on to like my childhood home, I guess. I'm just making that connection.
Yeah.
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 So so those are the kind of buildings that I like. I also love medieval villages. So I
Hmm.
love again about how they are so just based on what's happening in the building. So the windows could be all over the place on
Yeah.
the outside, and so they're
Yeah.
not really thinking
Yeah.
about that as much, but there's still some beauty to it, even though it's seemingly not addressing the outside at all. Anyway, so I just
Yeah.
love those little streets that open up, they're in Rome or any of those medieval
Mhm.
towns around there. How
Yeah.
there's these tiny little streets that open up into big piazzas with dogs and old ladies hanging out the windows and that whole thing. So that I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. especially of like Florence, where you can kind of see the Duomo no matter where you go, right? You're like going down these ways, and then it breaks up, and then you can see it, there. You can see it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way, like buildings as markers of our space, kind of with the Hancock Tower in Boston,
Mhm.
because, they're the typical views of it, but then also from my friend's house in Somerville, I can see it, but it's from this other angle. So the Prudential Tower and the John Hancock Tower are in different relationship to each other, depending where you
Mhm.
are. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's how I keep myself entertained around here by doing that,
yeah, yeah,
looking for those two buildings.
yeah. Well, we certainly saw. I mean, I saw Louisa May Alcott's house when I was back there.
Did you like it?
Yes.
I don't know if I've
I
been
mean,
there.
we didn't go into it, but the
Yeah.
thing is, it seemed like there were a lot of buildings in Concord around there that were brown. That's kind of a typical, like, traditional color,
Brown.
brown.
Yes, I guess her house is brown, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know,
And
is
the
it
building
painted?
next door, her dad's right. What was the name of her dad's philosophy something
I don't know. I actually have never
Alcott
been there.
School of Philosophy. We didn't go in. We were outside because of COVID. The tour was just super
Yeah.
long. But yeah, but his
Yeah.
right basically his office or his school was not that far away from the house where they were, and
Yeah.
um,
Well, lucky for me, I mean, obviously where I live near Boston, there are plenty of old houses for me to look at. So, yeah, I haven't been in that one. I used to go on, I used to be a docent in historic houses and that sort of
mhm.
thing when I was in college. So that's always fun, but there are a lot of very, very misinformed people giving tours in those
Yes,
houses. And
absolutely.
and
If
so
you go on any Frank Lloyd Wright tour, you're at any of that. I mean, I don't even know why. I don't even know why the foundation like let some of these people give the tour, because they just totally go off on some tangent, and you're like,
yeah.
what are you talking? Right? It's and all the buildings leak, and he had so many women, and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, I just talk about the architecture.
Yeah, let's stick to the facts.
Yeah.
Well, those are facts, I guess, but stick to the architecture. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you were obviously not one of the docents that did not know all the facts.
Well, I did kind of go off script a lot, I have to admit, when I was at the Mariah Mitchell Association, her birthplace on Nantucket.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I didn't make stuff up, but occasionally I would smell a strong perfume and I'd say something like, okay, do you smell that? Or it would get really, really cold in the room. And of
Uh-huh.
course, then I'd say, like, I think there might be another presence in the room. And it was not supposed to be. Not supposed to be a ghost tour at all, but I couldn't help myself.
Katharine MacPhail's ghost
Yeah,
tour.
yeah, the personalized ghost tour. But yeah, so I mean, I get it. If you're in there all day giving like 8 tours, then maybe you mix it up a little.
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah,
true. That's true. I can't even. I mean, I probably would not. I'm one of those people that probably would not be able to give the same tour,
no,
4 times in a row.
no,
I'd
you
be
have to
lucky
read.
if I could even make it through the first. I would need a lot of notes probably the first time.
Do you give tours at Taliesin?
No.
Yeah.
No, I've been to Taliesin several times. I've never given the tour. I am volunteer. I am going to volunteer to do some, and I think they do want me to do the tours, which really I just wanted to teach the kids, because that's what I did a few years ago. I went in the middle of when it's 110 degrees. Um, I went and taught. I think they were mostly middle schoolers. We like taught that, and I think the person that was running the program then, she was they have these people that are living on Taliesin that are like kind of leftovers from Frank Lloyd Wright. So it's like the person that was running this program, she was actually um the daughter of Frank Lloyd Wright's doctor. And so she
Wow.
lives there. Yes. So I saw her there at that point when she was running the class. And then I saw her a couple years later when I went to see one of our friends lecture there. And then one of my other friends was coming in because the company that he worked for was giving a lot of money to Taliesin. So So I saw her there. She was there in the dining room, and so she lives there on the, she lives on the property. They have other houses that most people don't know about. Oh, well, Katherine, you haven't been there yet. Okay. So anyway, there are these other houses. And so one of my friends, Tim, he was actually staying in one of the, in one of the guest houses there. So he was like back in there. So I actually got a chance to like see, that, and I took photographs and everything because he was staying there. And I was, of course, staying at Homewood Suites in Scottsdale down the thing, paying a lot of money because, it's golf time, right? And so I was paying way too much for Homewood Suites. And so I only stayed there one night. But he was staying there. And yeah, there are all these other buildings that they have that people are living in on the property. But you'll love it. And I'm gonna see if I can't get away to meet you there for that. So.
Okay.
But, in October, yes. I'll do it for my birthday or something. So what do you like about being an architect?
Well, what do I like about it? Today might not be the best day to ask me that. Well, okay.
I know. Let's just think of all the good, because what do you like about being an architect?
Yeah. Well, one thing I really appreciated over the years was that I had a career that I could do while I was taking care of my kids. So because I was working for myself, then it gave me the ability to have these projects that I was running while I was still taking care of my kids. And then I ended up homeschooling my kids, which was not my original plan, but it's the way it worked out. So I kind of worked through that, and I was able to do that for myself, so it's really great that way. I mean, if by really great, like if you like to have no free time and just every moment is taking care of somebody else.
I mean, I did the same. Yeah, I did the same thing. We both have 3 kids. So it's like, I did not homeschool, though it was suggested several times at parent-teacher meetings.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little more...
That and Ritalin, but I opted for neither of those. And I said, no, you can have them full time. Not full time, right? For 6 hours out of
the full school day. Yeah. I ended up, sometimes I just go ahead and say things that then I have to follow through with. So that was one of those situations. So, yes, that's what happened there. So anyway, so that's good. And another thing I like, and I have to admit that I like this, is that everybody, not everybody, but if you're at a party, my old instructor, Margaret Crawford, who is an architectural historian, she always used to say how much cultural capital we had, because like we don't have any actual capital, but cultural capital a lot. So that, that's decent. And like to have people say like, I always want to be whatever profession you are, that feels better than people saying like, oh, than like big silence. So anyway, I kind of like that. But the thing I really love and the reason I do it is because I love solving puzzles, or I love thinking of different solutions to problems, really. So so yeah, that's my favorite thing. So if someone will pay me to actually help them figure out like 5 different solutions to their problem, then that's the perfect job for me. I'm thinking that I could do that without all the construction documents, though, to be honest. I'm trying to figure out how I do that. Sometimes it's fine, but
one of my friends said that they're not, they're another one where they're like, you know what? Right. There's a lot of times people are like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to only design and I'm going to pass it off. Right. I'm going to do one part of it. I'm going to figure out how many units you can get on this lot. And then I'm passing it off and you can figure it out with somebody else, Yeah.
Maybe I could do that, but I don't know how it's all going to end up for me. But anyway, that's the thing I actually love, and that's why I do it. And also because, of course, I'm obsessed with old houses. So, but sometimes that's bad because I don't want to mention any names. But if they listen to this, they will know I'm talking about them. But it really, really eats away at my soul, I think, when someone has this beautiful house and then they decide they want to take down all the walls and then they want to just get rid of the trim around here and there. Like, you should go buy a different house. Why are you ruining this great house? I don't know. So that I don't, those are sad moments. Those are not things I love. So I shouldn't be talking about that. But yeah, anyway, so that's the best thing is figuring out, Solutions to problems, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've had a couple. Well, I've had a couple projects where I've interviewed for them. I did not get the projects, probably because of what I said during the interview, just as far as them, wanting to write. They've got this historic house, and it has, and it's rather large, in San Diego, and then it was divided up, right, because it's one of these kind of old traditional square houses, and then there are also several in that same neighborhood that they were kind of all, and then and it basically had 4 big rooms, right, and then this beautiful old oak staircase. And they said, yeah, we want to get rid of all the walls because we want to open things up, and then we want to move the staircase. And I said, well, you're not going to be able to move that staircase. I said, I mean, maybe we could. We'd have to disassemble it and then like build it over there. And then they're like, oh, well, no, we just like, can't you just like build the same staircase over? And I said, you have no idea. I said, you couldn't even build this staircase again. And I said, because it's just so incredibly expensive. I said, you don't have craftsmen that can do this staircase anymore. I said, just keep the staircase where it is. And I said, maybe we can open up these walls to make the openings bigger. And I said, but I wouldn't start ripping out all of I said, because it just really doesn't make any sense. I mean, even structurally and with the budget of the project, I said, it's like, you just don't have the budget to start doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a Paul Williams house. And the people, and so I went to interview, and it was Paul Williams' house, and it was a referral from, I believe it was a referral from Mark Appleton, who we had worked with, who is, he does a lot of very classic and traditional style houses, and it was a Paul Williams house. And the people just wanted to totally, like start moving stuff around and ripping stuff out and everything. And I just said, I wouldn't do that to this house. And I said, I mean, it was when I was younger in my career, like first starting out with my own practice, 27 years ago. Right. And I wouldn't do that to this house. I said, I would totally like not, it's like, this is real. And I mean, right, this was still 27 years ago. And I just said, no, I would not rip apart this house. And I didn't get that job either. So I have no idea what they actually did to it or not. So
I'm surprised you didn't get that job, Michelle. I mean, you said you wouldn't do what they wanted. It seemed like not surprising that you didn't get it.
Well, people, I mean, right, if you hire an architect, you should be listening to what they have to say, because we're professionals, right? I mean, you don't walk into the doctor's office. You don't walk into the doctor's office and say like, oh, gosh, it's like I got this pain in my side, and and the doctor's like, oh yeah, you have appendicitis, we're gonna have to take it out. And you're like, well, what? Like, I mean, I don't want to take it out. Like, can't we do, I mean, and I did do that with some other surgery that I had. I'm like, really? Do you have to take it out? Do you have to take it out now? Like, are you sure you have to take it out or whatever? And they were like, yeah, we do. We do have to take it out. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's what I'll have to do. But, right. It's like, you can, maybe people can ask you like, okay, are you sure that I should do this? Are you sure, but then maybe they can, but, you're like, well, no, I this is what I think you should do. It's my professional opinion, right? This is what I should do. Or, go to an attorney, right? Say I don't know, say there's been an accidental death or something. And then, you're still like, well, I think you should plead this. Like, really? Do you think I should? I think I should plead, guilty.
I'm feeling well, people do that all the time now, it feels like. Right? Whether they're like, yeah, I'm doing my own research kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a good idea. It's still not a good idea. You should listen to the professionals, I think.
Exactly. Listen to the professionals.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like that cultural capital. Capital. Okay.
Yep.
So, and then what would you like to say about the future of architecture, Katharine?
Well, how far in the future are we talking about here, Michelle?
I mean, you're coming up this, right? You can say like 2 months, 2 years.
Oh, because I'm answering the question. It can be whatever I want.
200. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the future, maybe AI is going to be taking care of solving the problems that I like to solve so much, right? So it's possible in the future that won't happen. In the more like my lifetime sort of
Uh-huh.
future,
Uh-huh.
um, I don't feel it myself, but I hear because my husband's an architect and he was in academics, and so he used to talk about the end of like architecture as a profession is dying, right? So he talked about
Uh-huh.
that all the time, which was a little bit of a bummer because that is my profession, and
Yeah.
he wasn't practicing as much. So I'm like, it's not that bad, but I feel like maybe it's right now I just still have a lot of work. Maybe it's what I do versus like I don't work on bigger projects in a bigger firm, or like, my own personal experience is I think that we will continue to be needed at least for the rest of my lifetime. But I I don't really know what the future of it will hold, and what are the future are we humans going to be able to inhabit the earth for
Mhm.
much longer? Well, how are we going to deal with the all this climate change? I mean, as the oceans rise and all that stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like if we want to talk about how architects could help with that whole thing, I think it's really important because someone's going to need to figure out how we're all going to live
Yeah.
without killing each other, all on top of each other, and people moving into areas where other people already live because they need to have refuge from the water. Is that depressing? It's pretty depressing, but I feel like we kind of need to look at that and how are we going to flood proof our house? And I was talking about this at Ecclestock too, and
Yes,
that,
you were. Yeah.
yeah, like that I talked to some guy about lifting up an historic house in Charleston, South Carolina, his whole story about that. And, it costs a lot of money to do that. And so houses that aren't worth $8 million, what do they do instead? And these people who don't have that much money living in the low-lying areas of, let's say, South Carolina, they
Mhm.
just get inundated with dirty water. Their stuff gets ruined. So how can we help people? Maybe a lot of our focus should be on how are we going to help with that whole crisis.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I kind of feel like when we talk about the future of architecture, I kind of feel like is when we used to talk about flying cars back in the 80s. Like by now there'd be flying cars, yet it's really not that different. I feel like that
Yeah, I
is
think that it's always like we thought like everything was going to be like the Jetsons, and really it isn't. They've got like you kind of have like these traditional or not even traditional or transitional tract houses, right? That people it's like you thought everything was to be more modern, but it isn't more modern. It's
yeah,
traditional. It's like with stucco coining or something, right? So it's like
right.
yeah, and only on the front, not on the side.
Only on the front. It depends where you're looking, but yeah, I mean, it's really not that different. So I feel like it's not. I feel like the things we might concentrate on will be different, but overall, I think we'll still do the similar type of work.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like people are always gonna. I mean, I'm thinking people are always gonna need a place to live. Correct. I mean, I don't know, right?
I
Like
guess.
shelter. Yeah. I mean, from the beginning of time, right? People, right, as we began to walk upright, we needed more, permanent places to live besides caves. So we made know, other places to live. And
Okay, I don't think I read the article, but I just yesterday saw that they had uncovered. Okay, this is going to be a very no detail comment. Okay, so there's this like mammoth. They made a house or a tent out of mammoth bones and skins that they found somewhere. Who's they? Found somewhere, I don't know, Europe, I think. But I was just looking at that as like the evidence that of like the first piece of architecture, possibly. I thought it was really interesting because they had these tusks that were the doorway, and then these skins kind of over it. Anyway, it's just pretty cool.
what? Really?
I don't think I dreamt it. Yeah, I think I just saw the article. I'll have to forward it to you. But
Yeah.
they think that's the
Yeah.
first evidence of architecture. That wasn't a cave.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because they found a mammoth in downtown San Diego, right? Which we always kind of, and they found a saber-toothed tiger also at another point, right? So they're kind of always unearthing these things in downtown San Diego when they go, and my son was saying like, well, I don't understand why it was there for so long. And then I said, well, because the typical house that was in downtown San Diego, right? It only, we don't really have basements a lot. So it's like they had no idea that anything was that, right? Because they're only unearthing maybe 24 inches.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
mean,
have a basement. Yeah. So you don't even see. And then, but then, this big tower goes in, right? Like with, the library, right? Any skyscraper, I said, then you're excavating a ton. And then that's where they're finding everything. So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, just the idea of them all falling into the La Brea, not all of them, but all these animals falling into the La Brea tar pits and then just being popped out. That's just so mind blowing, isn't it?
no, it is. It
Yeah.
is. And I don't think people people really should. Yeah. The La Brea tar pits is just a totally, that's a pretty bizarre experience, right?
Yeah.
So you're like there, and really like when people first told me about La Brea tar, right? Because I grew up in Pittsburgh and I came to LA and I didn't even go to the La Brea tar pits, I think until maybe the kids were really little.
No, me
And
too.
then,
I went with my kids.
yeah, and then I found, and then and they're like, oh, you go to the museum, and it's like, well, yeah, but it's not even just the museum. It's like there's still tar bubbling up out of the ground.
Yeah. I know. It's so, it's just
Yeah,
even thinking about even San Diego or Los Angeles having these mammoths or saber-toothed tigers, like that is not the vibe I get from this place. I don't know. It's just I forget that was a period in history where, yeah, of course they were roaming around there. There were no mini malls. I mean, they were free to roam. And, and yeah, yeah, again, history is pretty cool.
yeah, right. They were like, we're digging up this stuff, and then we're putting in the museum, right? That's not that far away, right? And I mean, they're putting into the one in Balboa Park, right? Or it's like the tar pit museum, right? Oh, it's like, oh yeah, we're getting it right now, and then we're putting it into the museum. Right?
Yeah, right. There's not much of a delay between
not much of a delay.
being in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well, what I was going to say before is that I did the research about my favorite buildings because I thought, I couldn't even think of any buildings, right? So then I looked it up and there's a list of America's favorite buildings on Wikipedia. So, and I was looking through them like, yeah, that's not like Empire State Building's number one.
Oh,
like,
really?
Okay, I wouldn't really say it's my favorite. White House, number 2. I think those are just probably buildings people can identify. Are those really the favorites? But anyway, interesting list.
I just made a right, the thing about what building is on the it's on the back of a dollar bill. Like I forgot it was the White House. I thought it was some other building. I said like Monticello or
I know they all look the same, Michelle. Don't worry, they all look the same.
And I'm like, oh, it's the White House. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm an architect. I'm getting the wrong building. I'm like, well, who looks at the back of a dollar bill anyway? Right.
I don't really. You just look at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't have, it's very possible I would not have known that. I don't know, because now I know, so it's hard for me to know if I knew it last week or didn't. But yeah, maybe it was like the Capitol building. I don't know. Who else said Anne, I guess.
To me, it would be more, the Capitol building would make more sense.
Yeah. But now that the White House is the number 2 favorite building in the whole country, maybe.
Yeah, maybe more people are looking at the back and recognizing it than I thought. And reading the small print. It probably says the White House.
Yeah, I think what I don't know. What non-architects like for buildings and what architects like for buildings, I think are maybe different. Yeah. Well, there was wasn't that book? There was a book that came out that was called the I don't know, the 100 cultural things that you should know. Oh no, I need to get that book. Yeah, it was something like that. But one of the things was about Frank Lloyd Wright. And so right. So it's like the Cliff Notes version for any culture, right? So one of our friends, and this is years ago, he took out this woman, and he did not go to college, but he was very well read and knew, right? Like knew. And then are we talking about Frank Lloyd Wright or this friend of yours?
We're talking about this friend of ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about this friend of ours that also did not go to college, just like Frank Lloyd Wright. But he went to graphic design school, and he's an artist, but so anyway, he took out this woman and she was like asking, but anyway, she had read this book and so she was kind of, talking about, all these cultural things that right from, from the Cliff Notes version. And she said, "Oh, who's your favorite architect?" And he said, "Oh, Frank Gehry." And she's like, "I don't know who that is." And he said, "Oh," and he goes, "Yeah, it's an architect that's here in LA." And then she said, "Oh," and he said, "Who's your favorite architect?" And she said, "Frank Lloyd Wright." And he goes, "Oh," because I didn't realize that we were talking about the dead ones too. He goes, "Yeah." And then she said, right, because he used to hang out with all of us. Yeah. He used to hang out with all of us. Oh, okay. Yeah, he used to hang out with all of us. So people actually thought that he was in our class, but he was just like hanging out with us, and he was one of the kid's dad's friends. I mean, he's our friend too. But she said, yeah, in fact, he built a I'm trying to like, my son is writing on a whiteboard and then showing me, and because then he has class at 7, and I'm telling him, yeah, you will get to class by 7. So anyway, she said like, yeah, in fact, he designed this building over a waterfall and it was called Waterfall.
Wow.
So anyway, we always like laugh at, we like make a joke about how like, oh, and the building was over, the waterfall in, at Fallen,
yeah. I mean, I know I got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and he didn't say one word to her at all about it. He just said, uh-huh. And he just like let her believe. So who knows? Now, probably.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of nice of him because, there's nothing to be gained really by making her feel. I mean, she was close. It's falling water versus waterfall. Dang. Very close.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
All right, Michelle. Well, so I guess that's the end of the questions, right? Have I answered them all?
It is. Is there anything else that you'd like to say, Katherine?
I have so much to say, Michelle, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. I think.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like, just being a person who has my own little practice without very much impact in the world has been kind of tough after I thought I could change the whole world with architecture, but that's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. So watch you on Thursdays at Entre Architect Context and Clarity, and then also your wonderful podcast.
Yeah, my podcast that comes out on Wednesday mornings, Talking Home Renovations with the House Maven. And it's actually, I end up talking mostly to architects. You were on there.
Yes, I was on there.
You were on there.
Yes.
I talked to a lot of architects about and other people too, but it seems like mostly architects, as it turns out, about just people's experiences with home renovations, or I might talk to a skylight person, people, actual vendors or experts in some other way. But I love talking to people about their stories, about their houses. People love their houses, and people make big mistakes when they're dealing with stuff. So it's good to know what mistakes people made, and then we can avoid making them ourselves, so that's the idea behind that. Anyway, it's kind of a fun, creative outlet. And now that it's with Gable Media, now I actually have to, be on top of my game.
Gable Media.
Right. I just joined Gable Media. Yeah. But I'm working on improving everything all the time. So it's fun. I mean, I guess in an ideal world, I would only work on sustainable projects and do my podcast. So that'll be it. And I could easily just say, no, I'm not working on that project if you're destroying that house or whatever.
Yeah. No. Anyway, but we have to, I mean, we do have to run a business and feed our families. So
that's it.
Yeah.
They do eat a lot.
I know I do.
And the pets, they eat a lot too. Yeah, everybody. We do have to support people. But it's great.
We have no pets right now. We have no. Yeah. I was like kind of caving the other day, and I'm like, well, maybe we could get, like, we still have the aquarium. Maybe we could set up the aquarium again, But then I soon said, you know what? There's so many other things. Like, we have to finish our house, and I'd like to remodel the kitchen, redo my bathroom. So it's like, let's not do the.
Well, you know what? You should just get a cat. The cat will require no cleaning of the tank or anything. The thing about an aquarium,
cat litter. I do not like cat litter at all.
But an aquarium can go south, and everybody in the aquarium dies all of a sudden. It's very traumatic, and that hardly ever happens.
We never have more than a few fish in at one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. It's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we had it set up before. We just haven't recently. I just kind of said, you know what? I don't really want to take care of anything else. So I think that probably just taking care of the house.
Well, fish don't give back as much as mammals do. I find mammals to be more.
Yeah, they're more cuddly.
Yeah, but they're also they are a lot of responsibility. And some days it is like just one more thing that needs me.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. And then I want to buy a piece of property and do another house on it. So that will give me, and I'm not going to do any more animals right now. I'm going to do that.
No animals. That's fine.
No animals. Okay, Katharine.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on. And
it was fun.
We'll be posting, and thank you for all of the work that you did for Echo Stock, because you really made it a success. And
oh, well, thanks. Well, you did a lot of work too.
We wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, I made 20 pizzas at the end. But
yeah, I didn't make any pizzas.
and told James that he couldn't have it the summer of complicated love. But besides that, I feel like
no, that's not true. Although it is true that you made the pizzas.
Yes. All right. Okay. Thank you, Katharine.
See you later, Michelle.